Welcome to the Now to Next podcast, where every week we provide wisdom on how to press play after a traumatic pause. If you are starting up or starting over in any area of your life or your business, subscribe and listen as we share real life stories from actual people who have pressed play and are winning after nearly losing it all. And now, your host, Octoria Robinson.
Hi there, friends. This is Octoria Robinson and your host of the Now to Next podcast. As always, I've been looking forward to this point in the week to be with you guys. It brings me an incredible amount of joy to bring impactful stories that help you press play after a traumatic pause. My goodness, today I have an incredible, yes, that's one of my favorite words, treat for you in my guest today. We've got Corina Grooms in the building. How are you, love?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really good now that I get to spend some time with you.
Awesome.
For the benefit and value of those that are listening, and share with us a little bit about yourself, and that way they can form that connection with you.
Okay, my name is Corina Smith Grooms. I was born in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Came down here when I was about 2 years old. Raised in a single parent home of 3 siblings. I am a wife of a wonderful, wonderful husband, Tyrik Grooms, and I do have one son, one and only, Jonathan.
Who I love.
And that's about it.
Oh, there's so much more. She's just being modest, guys. And with that said, let's go on a journey. And I invite you listeners, this is a special story. Not that any of the others aren't, guys. They're all special. But Corina encapsulates strength in a way I can't describe. If you were here and you could see and just be in her presence, you would know that there is something significant about her. And I can't wait for her to share these and so much more tidbits about her journey as well as wisdom. So let's go for it, hon. Talk to me. Because being a wife, being a mom, a young girl, once at one point in your life, a woman, I'm sure you've experienced challenges in all of those areas, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm thinking more, though, in line of the thing or things, if it's multiple, that came and you felt like it was so crushing, crippling, debilitating that you stopped, or the idea of stopping was so real that there was this traumatic pause that occurred in your life. Have you ever experienced that? If so, when?
I have. I can start back when I was younger, just to give you the root of it all. 5 years old, being molested, and it actually continued. Molested, rape, and I was raped twice, molested by my uncle. And that from there, I suffered with depression, low self-esteem, suicide. I tried, didn't work. And growing up, as I was always being, molested and raped, I actually thought, okay, well then I'm supposed to be a boy. So that's when my first kiss was actually a girl. She said, well, let's play house. And I said, okay. And so she said, you be the daddy and I'll be the mommy. And so she counted to 3 and she said, okay, it's time to kiss now. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And a lot of people, oh, they're just children. No, you have to be very, very cautious and careful what you allow your children to do and what's around your children. Spirits are real and they do try to linger. So from there, that was just stuck in my mind. So much stuff is happening to me. My father's not in my life. And I'm thinking, forget it. I'm just going to go ahead and just be gay. So I decided, honestly, and because I thought I'm always being talked about, picked on, and I did actually find women attractive. So it wasn't something that just forced me because of my past. It just forced me to be that way. In that process of doing all of that stuff, you create and develop spirits. So that spirit of lust and that spirit of just depression and all of that just lingered and stayed in me and just grew and grew and grew. And one point I just was like, I was born to actually be a man. I wasn't born to be a woman. So I'm like, you know what? I began to be a stud. I was a stud at a young age. I really, really was. Tried to hide it from my mom. Tried to hide it from my grandma. My grandma, she was not no fool. She still isn't. But I lived that life all through high school, through middle school. I lived that life. I was the protector of females. I was that person. I didn't mind fighting boys at all whatsoever. I lived that life. I planned to be the husband in a household. I tried to take care of a little girl that wasn't mine. And just one day I was just like, I can't do this, because even in that lifestyle, you could try to play happy all you want to. You can try to look like you're happy, but there is a void that will remain there that will never, ever, ever be filled, because you're not doing what God has already predestined for you to do and be. Now, I'm not saying just because you are gay, God is not going to bless you. God is going to protect his sheep. God is going to, look after his children. He's always there, always available, and always there with open arms, waiting for you. That's all it takes.
Wow. So, there were so many elements there. I just want to personally thank you on the behalf of our listeners for sharing and being so transparent. I'm not sure if that was difficult or something that you were comfortable with, but I deeply appreciate it. I know it's touching so many people. I want to go back to the little girl that was repeatedly molested and raped. How long did that go on for?
I was 5 when it really, really began. 9 when I got raped the first time. The second time I was actually 10. The third time I actually fought the man, and he was actually a close member of my family. Like, I called him my cousin. That's how close his mother and everyone was to ours. So it started from 5 to basically my preteens. And once something clicked in my head, Corina, this is not how you're supposed to be. This is not normal, because there became a time where I thought it was normal. And it's like, no, this is not normal, Corina. Boys cannot touch you.
So how did you recover normalcy after so much tragedy?
Really, it's more so of being transparent with yourself, being real with yourself, and understanding, okay, God, if you are there, and if you say you are who you say you are and who people say you are, prove yourself. Now, that was me. That I told God, God, I asked him to prove himself. And honestly, me saying that, it was more so of me allowing myself to open up and giving, literally, like most of us, we say, God, we give it to you. I give it to you, but we study worry, study stress, study trying to handle it our own way, study being around the people that we don't need to be around that carry those traits. I mean, it's okay to step away from your friends. Yeah. You have to, in order to get to that place where you have to be, where God has called you to be. And it wasn't easy at all, because the enemy tries to play with your mind. So if you're constantly quiet and constantly not saying anything and constantly speaking just negativity out of your own mouth, it's going to always be around you.
Wow. So if I hear you correctly, that no matter how much tragedy you've walked through, you still have the responsibility to speak up. And that's the first step up. And step 2, bringing restoration to your life after so much that you've walked through. That's exceptional. Now, I'm thinking on the behalf of someone that may be out here listening and saying, you know, Corina, that's a beautiful story, but I have nothing that is worth reaching towards. So how does one find strength to reach outside of tragedy when you have nothing that you feel is worth reaching towards?
When you feel like you have nothing, that's when you have the most. When you feel like you have nothing.
Elaborate on that.
Because the only thing that you really, really need is your faith. The only thing that you really, really, really need is God. God reminds us and he tells us that the material things and men will always fail you. Like that's things that's a gift to us. But the things that we truly, truly, truly need is faith and Jesus. In order to honestly get through those things, we have to worship our way to the top. When you constantly just, when you want to get out of it, God gives us decisions. He gives us a choice, I should say. If you want to get out of it, you will get out of it. But you can't do it by yourself. You can't depend upon yourself. It just doesn't work that way. God, you have to literally, God, stay with me, be with me. I know it seems like I don't have nothing, no one around me, nothing or anything, but you're not going to see that when you're blind because of the tragic and the tragedy and the hurt and the pain and the anger. All of that is just blocking your vision to the light. Like you're not going to see it.
That's so essential what you just said, because trauma is blinding. I know for me personally, it prevented my capacity to see any good beyond what I've walked through.
Right.
All I saw was pain. I'm liking it to having a shattered glass and trying to look at life through it. Everything looks and feels broken.
Right.
You sound like you're in such a hole, in a strong place, and I celebrate you. But the reality is, there are so many people who have walked through or are living in, maybe a little girl or a little boy, teenage child, high schooler, who have been violated through molestation by a loved one or a complete stranger, and they're not here. It's a secret. I'll be honest, and I expressed this in our first episode. I did not come to terms in terms of opening my mouth about molestation until I was about 25 years old. And that happened at 9. I legitimately blocked it off as a thing in my head. I was petrified of the idea of anyone knowing that part of my life. And I know that there are people that are listening today that are there. And this is probably a tear-jerking interview, but more than it being tear-jerking, I want to give you an opportunity as an overcomer, one that has recovered her identity after walking through so much tragedy. What would you say to this person that's listening? And I want to give you one more small thought as you prepare what you desire to share us. I want you to see what you're saying as a tool. Literally, your words that you're going to be sharing with the people that are listening is going to be a tool that they're going to be able to use to press play or even start making a direction, moves in that directions rather, towards hitting play, they could have been on pause because of this for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, or in between years. What would you say to them to motivate them, encourage, inspire them to press play?
Well, I can say grow through your secrets. That is one thing that God recently actually spoke to me. Grow through your secrets. There's a lot of things that we do shut our mouth and keep our mouth closed about. And it's a hindrance to us. We go through things for the next person. And it's like, oh no, like I can't do this. But I would say open your mouth. Do not be afraid. Do not feel shame or guilt. Because as a little girl, I was told if you say something, you're going to get in trouble. I'm not going to get in trouble, but you are. And remember, the enemy always tries to have control over your mind. So if he has that control over your mind, over your mouth, over your voice, over just he will have control basically over your life. And we do not want that to happen. There are souls and lives and little girls, little boys that need help. And it only takes just one person. It takes that one person. So I promise you, if you open your mouth, speak upon it, talk about it. Don't try to cover it up, and don't try to just ignore it and push it in the back of your mind, because you're going to always wonder, why am I depressed today? Why am I angry today? Why I can't keep this going on, and I can't keep a positive energy. I can't keep dependent on God. God can't work with you. He can't pull you through certain things when you're constantly holding on to it. Let it go. If you have to physically, open up your hands, look at yourself in the mirror, and say, I release all of this to you, and which is what God wants. He wants all of the dirt, all of the secrets. He wants all of the broken pieces to make something beautiful out of you. Understand, you're not the only person that really is going through this. It takes time, but keep climbing. Make that sacrifice. Keep climbing. Keep worshiping God. You have to develop that relationship with God for yourself, not for what people always tell you, but for yourself, and allow him to be that shoulder to cry on. Allow him to be that comforter. Allow him to be that strength. You can do it.
Wow. How can people connect with you to learn more about your story and your journey, Corina? You
can actually reach me on Facebook. It is Corina Pure in Heart Grooms. You can email me, Rina, RINA Smith 89 at gmail.com. I'm always available. This is what I live for, to help others.
There you have it. She's more than an inspiration. She's a resource, friends, and she wants to connect with you. In summary of this powerful story, and trust me, this is just a small snippet of it. You want to follow this girl. She is an incredible, incredible woman and source of encouragement and motivation in my own personal life. But in summary of what she shared, I want to inspire you guys. Let's clear our throats of the shame and the pain and the fear of what's happened to us. It's time for us to speak up, because what happened to you doesn't define what has to happen in your life. You are more than an incident. You are more than a moment. You are more than a victim. You are valuable. Speak up, friends. Find a safe place, a safe person that you can communicate this deep rooted pain with, and you watch, you're going to have the strength, the encouragement, and the tenacity to press play. Corina and I both share this strength that we have pressed play after this traumatic pause. I love you guys. I cannot wait to connect with you next week. Until then, have an epic rest of your week.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast today. For all things Launch Now, log on to launchnowus.com for info on products, resources, and upcoming events. We are looking forward to connecting with you and enriching your life through our next episode. And remember, you have what it takes to press play. Have a super duper epic week.